I don't believe in fucking burnout. I don't. I think that that's burnout is one of those things that will separate you from what your fullest potential is. And I don't think that anybody can reach their fullest potential if you don't fucking love what you do.
I had to wait a year and a half for clothing. I still had rent to pay. I had all this stuff. How do you pay for all that stuff? And that's why I had to do screen printing on the side. So I was like screen printing other people's clothes.
No shit.
Yeah, dude, I was screen printing like construction companies' clothes. I was screen printing other people just to make ends meet while paying like $3,000-4,000 a month on rent until this clothing got here. And when the clothing got here, shit was messed up. Things weren't right. The fit wasn't correct. I had to get things reset. I actually had to get money back from all this stuff. It was actually freaking nuts. It was chaos. And the thing that saved me was that fucking interruption video. One time with the shorts and the TikTok shop. And the crazy thing is, none of that would have went into play if each of these specific things didn't happen when it needed to happen.
I'm Jack Zuber. I'm the creative director here for Raw Nutrition and Raw Endurance. Super happy to be with our guest today, Andre Vaillant, one of our athletes. We've been working with him for a few months now. Guy's an absolute rock star. And Paul, I'm going to let you introduce yourself as well.
What's up, you guys? My name is Paul. I own the clothing brand BeActive, and I'm also in cahoots with Andre here. He's also an athlete with BeActive, so that's kind of the connection that we have between Raw and BeActive.
Love it, man. Love it. Andre, tell us about yourself, bro.
Yeah, so I'm a bodybuilder up here in Canada. I'm also a personal trainer, train clients online, and like Paul said, I'm a BeActive athlete as well as a Raw athlete. And yeah, me and Paul met each other back in March, and it's been pretty awesome ever since.
Yeah. March of this year?
Yeah, this year.
Yeah.
It was actually at the Arnold.
No way.
Yep.
Yeah, it's actually kind of a funny story. If I had to tell how I met Andre, and like when it comes to like random happenstances and like how you meet people, I was at the pro gym in before we went to the Arnold, and I was with Jeremy Buendia, and they were shooting with like Ryan Terry and stuff, and Andre was just the biggest dude in there other than the Olympians, obviously, just kind of walk around like, who is this guy? And I the first words that came out of my mouth were, are you sponsored? That's like, it's like the first thing I say, like, no. I was like, do you want a sponsor? Like that was it. Literally, like, it was the most weird cut and dry thing. I've never asked anybody to like be a part of the brand. It was still fairly new, like the success would be active and stuff. And he was like, yeah, we talked about it. And then after that, I don't know, we met at his booth. Where were you at the time, Andre?
I was at the Bells of Steel booth, which is like a equipment brand.
Yeah,
like,
we met up and like, hey, let's go talk about it.
What's that?
Like, and we literally just I just like walked up to you and was like, oh, hey, let's go talk about this. We'll hang out more, and then something like that.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. And you were like, oh, well, we'll get you some clothes sent over to Canada and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, let's check it out. And I mean, I was really impressed with the clothing that you were wearing at the time. I thought it looked really cool, and the materials and stuff were like really high quality compared to a lot of other brands out there, which caught my eye. And then yeah, I was like really impressed once I actually got them. And then Paul flew me out to Cali, and yeah, it was just, we hit it off ever since then, like pretty good. And it's been a blast being part of the brand and being part of all the events that we've been at, and the photo shoots and the workouts and all the other athletes that Paul's brought on too. We've all kind of clicked, and it's been a really good time.
I love it, dude. Was BeActive your first apparel sponsor?
Yeah, like the real official one, yes. I've had a lot of brands like sending me clothing to test out and see if I liked it or not, to be a part of the brand. But Paul's was like, I was like, yeah, this is amazing stuff. So
yeah, that's one thing I can commend you guys. Like, you did it right. You immediately went for the higher quality shit, which a lot of brands struggle with whenever they're first establishing. They'll always go the cheaper route, and it's, the graphics can look great, the marketing can be there, but if the quality is gone, nobody's going to give a shit. It's always going to get pushed to the bottom of the drawer. But like, you guys' quality is incredible. When I handed all of the clothes out to the office and I gave it to Simon and Dan and everybody else, like, first round, this is really sick. What is this brand? I showed them some of your videos because I saw you on TikTok.
They did? Oh, God.
Bothering people when they're working out and shit. I was like, this guy's an asshole. Like, it turns out, like, it's all part of the strategy that you have. And it was so cool. I didn't connect two and two until, like, I think it was like the grand opening. I was like, yo, that's the guy.
That's
the guy that makes all these fucking TikToks, or maybe they were reels. I forget where I saw it, but I was just like, yeah, he bothers this guy working out. This guy's huge as fuck. He'll go right up to him and tap him on the shoulder. Actually, kind of fucking genius, to be honest.
The crazy story about that too as well, and like how BeActive is now is just like the tip of the iceberg. When you're just like, hey, your quality is good and you start from there, it's great. I've actually done BeActive since 2018. So
Really?
when I started the brand, I had really no idea what I was doing. You know, like everybody, and I'll be like a complete disclaimer and be open about it. A lot of people who start brands nowadays, it's called private label. And they'll basically print a t-shirt from like a regular already made t-shirt, and then they would call it their own. They would change like labels and stuff, right?
Right.
And we're like, you know what? Like, how do you create a brand versus like what a culture is? And you could, if like, let's say you're famous, you could put anything on a t-shirt and then sell it, you know. But for me, it's like nobody knows what BeActive was. What can I do to be different than all the other people that are like making clothing brands, you know? So those first 3 or 4 years was crazy. Like I was just doing the private labeling. I was printing all the stuff myself in my warehouse, have my own print screen. And when you guys started to find out about the brand and see all the videos and stuff, it was like the pinnacle year, because the year before we started doing like the full custom stuff, where it's like we really dialed down, instead of just trying to put out a bunch of random shit in hopes that it hits, to really focus on the clothing first, the quality, and then get the people behind it, you know. And if it wasn't for those interruption videos, you guys, I will tell you this for certain, I don't even know where BeActive would be. Like those videos are like what blew up BeActive. And people will see like, dude, this dude's an asshole. Like this guy's a piece of shit. Like he has no gym etiquette. But like, think about it this way: if you have a brand that has 1,000 views and one buyer, you have one buyer, right?
Sure.
But what if you have some rage bait content that gets 6 million views and 1% of those views become buyers? Then yes, you might have 6 million people not liking you, right? But then you have the other people that see their skits, and then it becomes funny, and then they become a part of the culture, you know?
Right.
So then with those videos, I was able to create the brand to what it is today, meet all these amazing people, travel, meet you guys, all from just those videos, which I think is insane. And it's a testament to anybody who wants to start either a brand, get out there, be an influencer. Like you have to be on social media. You have to put yourself out there, and then you can get criticized, but like, how do you want to view yourself in the future is how it's going to be. Like for me, I didn't care if people in quotes hated me, because I knew what I was doing, and I was blatantly trying to make it like where it was like, oh, this could be real, but not real. And then when you see, you're like, this guy's funny. Like, what the hell? Like, I can't believe he does that. And then you're like, oh, okay, but what is it? Oh, it's just an ad for the brand. It's like, oh, well, now you can choose to either like it or not.
Yeah.
So from there, it started blowing up, and then meeting all the athletes and the different people that would support the brand after and before seeing those skits, really brought the brand to life. And that's how all of us are connecting today. Like between
That's
Raw and
insane,
BeActive. It's insane.
It's insane. I remember with you, Andre, dude, I have seen you for a long time. I remember the first video I saw of you. It looks like you were like in a field. You had a pull-up bar on like the right-hand side of the screen, and then you like walk into frame, and it looks like you're built like a fucking double wide. It's insane.
Yeah.
So I would see these videos, and they would just explode. It would be like on my reels, on my TikTok, people are resharing. People had nothing to do with you. I didn't even know what the hell your name was, because so many people were resharing your shit.
Yeah.
And turns out it was Andre Bellant, and I got in touch with you, or no, I think you actually reached out to us.
Yeah.
And then I saw the resemblance. I was like, I wonder if it's this guy. So I ran it by Dan, and I'm just like, have you seen this guy? And he was just like, oh yeah, no, I've seen a video or two of his. He's fucking huge. It's insane. Come to find out, like, you also competed with Chris at one point in your career.
I mean, yeah, years ago, like before we were like, I'm still an amateur, but when Chris was starting out too, we were both competing at the Toronto Pro Shows, and I was still in men's physique when he was in bodybuilding, and this was before classic physique was an actual division. So he was obviously taking off there right out the gates, and I was just starting. I think it was my first or second year competing in. I was doing men's physique because I was definitely not as big as I am now, but yeah.
You was a physique guy?
I can't even imagine.
I can't even imagine that.
It wasn't right. It wasn't the right fit regardless. I was told like right off the hop, like, you're too big for this division, which I understand, but I wasn't big enough to be a bodybuilder, and there wasn't classic at the time. So,
that was a weird time. That was a very weird time, because you have to go from like two dramatics.
Massive.
You're either severely downsized and you're not paying attention to the lower half of your body, or you're open, right? You have the 212s, don't get me wrong, but 212s have a very specific build. Like
Yeah.
they all very much have the same body type. And if you don't fit into that glove, then you're kind of stuck between physique or open. So where do you go?
Yeah, bro's almost like a foot taller than all the
Older
well,
212 guys.
anyways.
Yeah.
They got like a foot on.
Yeah. So that's kind of how that evolved, you know.
How did you talk to Chris at all? Did you guys establish a connection?
No. I mean, you know, when you're backstage and stuff, you know, like the bodybuilders are at first, and then everybody wipes out of the back, and then then it's men's physique. So I didn't really cross paths with him actually backstage or anything like that. But I just remember seeing him being like, this guy is a freak, you know, right out, you know, he was young, and I think he's 2 or 3 years younger than I am. And, but yeah, obviously we all know how fast his growth and development was. So he was always a spectacle right out, you know, at the early stages of his career. I remember them being at the shows and stuff like that, but I never really interacted with those guys. It's, you know, I was also like at the time, like 22, 23, kind of shy. And, you know, when you're just starting off in bodybuilding, there's all these massive dudes around. You're also like intimidated by everybody. At least I was. So different story now. But, you know, at the starting stages, I was just shy. So
I remember my first show ever. It was in Orlando. It was a Deke Warner show. And I was, dude, on stage for that show. I was 168 pounds, 6'2", 168 pounds. That's a freaking stick.
yeah.
And I am like, I've never been nervous. I was a theater actor since I was a young kid. And I did it for, you know, well into my mid-20s and never had any like stage fright or anything like that. But getting on that stage for the first time, that was extremely difficult. I started to sweat bullets. My tan was getting messed up. My tan around my armpit. I was sweating on my armpit because I was so freaking nervous.
Yeah.
Started to like, it was so pale under here. So I was like, oh, dude, like, how do I compensate and try to hide that? It was difficult as shit. And I noticed everybody backstage was doing shots of tequila. Like all of them.
Yeah.
So there was a girl that just got absolutely hammered, and she was like throwing her guts up backstage because she did like 3 shots back to back to back, and then 20 minutes later, puking her guts up.
Was it before she went on stage?
Before she went on stage.
Oh,
Like, oh my God, this is too much. There's other guys that were back there drinking Budweisers. I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, oh, it's a fast acting car. Takes the edge off of things and blows you up. So I actually tried it. I took a shot of tequila before the Tampa Pro last year. Dude, it was the smoothest experience ever. I was like on stage just smiling because I was just happy. I didn't really give a shit. I wasn't forcing it at all. It was like the key for me. I was like, wonder if more people do this.
I know a couple guys that definitely have a couple shots or some wine, even just take the edge off, but also helps them. I mean, if you're not as stressed or anxious on stage, that can also sometimes bring out a better look too.
Yeah, dude, when I'm stressed out, it is so physically apparent. I cannot hit my back poses worth a shit.
Yeah.
And you're thinking about every single move. So like every transition that you make in men's physique should flow very naturally. Obviously, I think it's even more important with classic. You guys are posing at a whole different level than men's physique, but there should still be these very smooth transitions. And if you're in your head, dude, those transitions get botched. They're terrible.
You get all choppy and robotic.
Yeah.
How many shows did you do?
I've done 6.
6 shows?
Yeah.
And was last year the most recent?
Last year's the most recent. I was going to compete this year, and then when I got into the athlete manager role, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go all in. I'm going to take like, I'm the kind of guy, and this is where me and Nick Walker, like, I very much relate to him. I'm totally an extremist. I can do one thing really freaking well, and everything else on the side is just like my blinders are on. I don't give a shit. Like, I'll just focus on one thing. So when I dug into this role, bodybuilding just took a complete backseat. I just stopped giving a shit. I didn't watch my diet, whatever. Worked until 2 or 3 in the morning every morning. Like, got 3-4 hours of sleep, and you know, it got me really far in a quick amount of time in my career. But now I'm trying to like focus on balance. And like one of the big things that I'm investing in this month, because I've been talking about it with Alyssa for a while, it's like we have all the tools that we need to do our job. And obviously, like the barrier to entry into the creative space is extremely expensive. I'm sure you can attest to this.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes into this. Outside of just buying a camera, it's the hours of time that you're putting into post-production, learning post-production well, and then, you know, finding your specific look, and then also telling the story of your brand that you're working for, your own personal brand, and how you can put your own creative twist on it. It takes so much freaking time. So what I was, planning on for the last 2 weeks of September was, okay, what tools can we invest in to save us the most amount of time? Ended up going head over heels for DaVinci, and
Really?
DaVinci has been life changing for me. Yeah. So I got like the editor's keyboard and the color panel, and it makes those steps, like just the cutting and trimming and getting rid of the fat, and then the coloring, like every individual frame, so much easier. And like for everybody looks at DaVinci, like it's very, very intimidating. There's a lot of buttons and
Like all the
knobs.
knobs that just makes no sense to me.
It's tough at first. It looks very intimidating, but once you learn it and you like master that workflow, dude, I'm getting probably right now 30, 40 minutes back into my day every day. So those little things add up. So now it's like, okay, what else is like a very strenuous part of post-production like this slows down your timeline? Well, it's stabilization.
Yeah.
So let's shoot everything on a gimbal moving forward. Even if we want to like add camera shake in post-production, it's a hell of a lot easier than stabilizing in post-production. So little things like that give you so much more time. So now I can focus on bodybuilding more and work on other aspects of my life that are important to me. But whenever I dive into anything, dude, I become freaking obsessed. I have no balance.
How many videos do you put out, and do you put out videos mostly for like the athletes, or is it mostly for your personal? Like how does that work for like your day to day when you make videos?
Yeah, dude. So I haven't posted on my personal account for God knows how many months. Like I think the last thing I posted was like March or April. So I was in the talent management role. I would do a lot of the photography for the brand, and whenever athletes were in town, I would take care of capturing all the stills and editing all the stills. But outside of that, like everything was just athlete management. So I had, my creative space over here that was cool, but nothing for my own personal account. Like I haven't touched it. And then since being in this role, I give up on my personal account. I don't give a shit. All I care about is the brand. So right now we're doing 5 unique pieces of content for the main page a day or a week, and then 5 unique pieces for endurance a week. And then we also have the endurance YouTube and the main page YouTube. So we're putting out 3 unique pieces of content at least per day.
That's insane. It goes on all platforms too as well.
Yep.
Jeez.
And we have a TikTok
too.
Was that?
It's all the content is really high quality. Like it's like well thought out. It's really creative. It's like telling a story. All your YouTube stuff that I've noticed, at least.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a huge part is telling the stories. I think that Calvin did a really good job of this. Like he's an obsessive, documentary head. Like the guy just loves making docs. So I've learned a lot from his storytelling aspect of his content, but also putting my own little twist on it. So like one of my favorite films is John Wick, and everything with John Wick is like motion on the go shots. There's hardly any static shots. Like even when you have a simple shot, it's usually like on a stabilizer cart, and they'll just like punch you slowly through a room. Hardly anything's on a tripod. So I always have permission. Yeah.
And you use all the stuff you see in Wick to implement the stuff you do now, huh?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's cool. Fun, dude. It's fun. But I want to dive into like what your initial thoughts were when you and Paul first had your conversation. Was this something that like you were already familiar with this content, you had seen it at all, or was this just you're jumping off a cliff and trying to see how it goes?
Yeah, I mean, with Paul and BeActive joining the company, it was totally brand new. I've never seen it myself. Like I said, I saw the clothing in person. He sent me some clothing in Canada. I loved it right off the hop. I also like just the simplicity of it in a way. Like there was some stuff that I don't like things that are too like flashy and whatnot. So it really suited my styles, like what I like to wear. Because if it's not something that I want to wear, I wouldn't ever partner with that company. And then all the colors of the actual shirts are amazing, like the fades and like that brown shirt that you put out there, Paul, and like all those.
That's like your favorite one.
Oh yeah,
but is that the cutoff?
Not cutoff. It's I like the cutoff though, like the actual.
There's a cutoff brown one. I think it's just BXAV across the front. That one's dope. I wear it all the time.
Cap sleeve. Yeah, that cap sleeve one is amazing. Like, it actually like makes your shoulders look even broader too, because the way that its cap is a little bit wider than a regular one.
Right.
But yeah, so anyways, yeah, it was totally random. You know, for me, I kind of saw it as at first like a way for me to keep on growing with my social media presence, being an athlete, which has, like, honestly, since it's all gone down, you know, my following, let's say, just speaking with Paul and like the rest of the guys, my following on social media has doubled on Instagram since I started with BeActive, and that was only in March. So, you know, it's just been a really good combination for me. I hopefully for Paul too, and the brand, and you know, the experiences that Paul has brought me on, and the adventures and the trips. As
The Hurricanes.
What's that?
The Hurricanes in Texas.
The Hurricanes.
That was a wild trip.
Yeah, that was wild. That was so much fun. But like, it's something that I could say has been a dream come true. Truly, you know, not every day and not everybody gets the opportunities to be with a brand and such a great person like Paul. If you ever get to meet Paul, if anybody out there ever gets to meet Paul, you'll realize how awesome of a person he truly is.
I'm blushing. You can't see it though.
Yeah, yeah. So it's been a really great experience, and every time we go on a trip, I'm really looking forward to it because we just do so much fun stuff, and really it is like a lot of it like planned probably that day, and not even planned. It's just like we just do it, especially with the content. It's like just drop of a hat type of thing, and you know, when we have like 3 or 4 plus guys, all kind of with different audiences in a way, like we're all fitness, you know, orientated people, but you know, we also have our own style, and then you kind of collaborate with each person, and it just spirals into all these different ideas and creative avenues that maybe we haven't thought of before, and now we're just creating it all together. So it's been really cool.
Yeah, how do you go about picking your athletes? Is this a very strategic, conscious thought that you're trying to recruit people that have very different personalities, covering a wide spectrum of this space? Because like when I look at your team, you have some very interesting characters on board.
For me, it's like you don't have to have a specific look, but if you're somebody that can't like match well with the brand and it's something that I don't believe in, then you're not going to be a part of the brand, you know?
Sure.
The part with even Andre too as well, and I'll even say this is like Andre probably gets, like he says, like different like brands talk to him all the time. I think the difference between me and him was like I actually got to talk to him in person, see him in person. So his first impression of the brand was through the brand owner. So it was like, oh, okay, this guy, I might give this guy a shot. You know what I mean? When it comes to athletes and finding athletes, I actually have an athlete manager as well. His name is Matt. He's helped me connect with a lot of people because of his following, his 360 videos that he does, and a lot of the people that I would like to have on the team follow him. So then like having the people, having a connection to be able to connect to people, and then those people giving the brand a chance kind of helps bring like a team, you know?
Sure,
and then from there, after like a couple months, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. We understand, part ways. But for the record, the team that I have right now is awesome. They've stuck with the brand, and even like the athlete manager, like before I started even making waves with like the videos and all that stuff too, he saw something in the brand, stuck with it from the like a year before any of this happened. So he got to help with this. He helped build the team. You know, the person I could say for a fact though was Andre. I picked him up. Andre and I, that was like the most random thing ever, but it's like that's like a whole like a right time, right place moment. Like if I didn't go to the gym that day, if I didn't go to the Arnold, like I would not have been able to meet Andre. Andre wouldn't even be a part of the team. Like that's the craziest part. And I didn't even know who he was. And here's how he was like, I was like, dude, you're huge. Like, do you have a following and stuff like that? Do you have and he shows me Instagram. I was like, dude, why do I know? He's like, oh, you probably saw me from this video. And then there's this. I'm like, dude, you're the back guy.
You're the
back guy. And I've seen that, and like, and I was like, dude, this is crazy that like this is you. So then I got all geeked out and like, dude, I'm meeting this famous ass person with the biggest back I've ever seen. He's like 6'5", I'm like 5'5". Like you could step on me and just but in meeting him, you'd see Andre too as well. You'd be like, dude, this guy's like could be kind of intimidating. And then he's like the nicest person ever.
So nice.
So then that already made it easy for me to be like, dude, I would love to have this guy on my team.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So pushing for that, seeing how it goes, and then when the months come on in. And the hardest part too is like when you build your team, like not everybody might not connect, and that could be a problem. You don't want to have any toxic relationships in the team to make everything fall apart, you know. But every single time we've had a connection with another athlete or something, it just always was smooth. It was always awesome. We understood what was going on, and like what Andre says, every person has a specific I guess social media when it comes to each thing for fitness. You know what I mean? Andre has a big back. I interrupt people and I'm an asshole. I don't know, just stuff like that. You know what I mean? No, but then like with those collabs and everybody like hangs out with each other and everybody likes each other, it helped bring a culture and it helped bring a brand. So like now it's way easy to connect, do different things and help grow the brand because now we have like our solid people, you know what I mean? And then from there, I always tell people, like, hey, I'm gonna vet it through you guys because you are the staple people who help bring BeActive where it's now. Like, do you like this person? You know what I mean? When you go back to the question is like, how do you find people? It's like, if the people that are with me right now don't like the people that I suggest or talk to, then it wouldn't even be a conversation. Because why would you want to bring somebody toxic in? Doesn't matter the followers. If they don't like them, it's not going to work.
Right.
You know, so thankfully though, every single person we've had on, and we don't have a lot. Like this is our breakout year. I started doing videos in August of 2023. Randomly, like one guy I know, I was like, hey, let me just interrupt you real fast and I'll give you a pair of shorts. And at this time before, I wasn't even doing anything, dude, like nothing. I was like, I had the brand for a while, but it was a hobby. I had another job. And then as soon as I did that video and then the first million views happened, it all went like insane. Dude, if I didn't capitalize on that video and kept doing it, I don't even know where I'd be at. I don't think I'd have a team.
Crazy.
Which is crazy. And I was like, you know what? People don't like it, but some people do like it. It's getting sales. And honestly, I talked to Alex about this. I was like, it's timing too. If I did the same thing 3 years ago, I'd still probably get shit on and then nothing would happen. But because TikTok was there and then TikTok Shop was there, and then I'd be able to link all my clothing in these videos, people would be like, what is this? Oh, it's a brand. And then TikTok at the time, because I started very early, they were selling, here's the craziest part. They were selling my shorts for a penny.
No way.
Yeah, so this is the craziest story. Sorry, Andre. I have ADHD, you guys. I go on a side tangent.
Dude, that's what this kind of podcast.
Okay, good. As long as it's like a tangent is cool, then that's great.
Yeah.
But literally, I did the video, and it was for 1 penny because they're doing a thing where if it's your first time ever ordering on TikTok Shop, they'll give you $50 off in my shorts for $50. So there was 1 penny. And then I was getting orders like 1 penny is what the hell? And I said, oh, $45, whatever TikTok takes, right?
Right.
And then when one of the videos went viral, they're like, why not just try this 1 penny shorts, right? So then we went from literally me, I'm pretty transparent when I come. Like let's say the July of 2023, right? I did like $1,200 gross sales, right?
Sure.
And then because of TikTok Shop in that one video, the first month was like $40,000. It was ridiculous.
Damn.
Yeah. So just imagine going 1,200 gross to 40,000 because of TikTok, and then being like, oh God, what do I do with all this? Like I have all this inventory, now it's all gone, and now I need to keep up with it. And then, so I was like, okay, what can I do to keep selling more stuff? So then I just started interrupting more people, finding the most jacked people that I have on my roster. That, hey, let's do a video real fast. I'll give you free stuff, you know? And then that evolved to a legitimate thing to where instead of me asking for some people come into the gym and recognize me and like, hey, I'll love to be in your video. Just give me a free shirt. I'm like, I got you. So then all those interruption videos, all the people that see that helped fuel the growth of BeActive because of that, because of TikTok Shop, and because of social media. So if it wasn't for those videos and if it wasn't for TikTok Shop, I don't even know what would happen. But like I capitalized on that and I kept going from it. I did not stop. And to this day, it's been over a year and some change, and I still do those videos. And the thing is, I always tell people too, like when you think that something's doing good, just run with it, you know? Right. Every time you post a video, there's going to be a chance to where, yes, the same people will see it, but then you'll have new people see it.
Sure.
You know, so for my brand is like, if I do the same exact thing every single day, forever, there's still going to be a percentage of people who've never seen it before, and that's going to help grow the brand. So I just kept doing that for this last year, and it blew up the TikToks, socials, got to, and with all the, I guess, revenue and newfound revenue, I guess you'd say, I was able to build the team, do all the traveling, which was crazy. And then, which also helped a ton too, because if you have significant people like Andre, you know, just rocking it, or Matt or Jake or whoever, just wearing the brand, and then that helps build the legitimacy of, oh, this guy is on TikTok. This is a brand. Oh, but the people actually wear it. It's actually kind of a cool thing. All that together created what it is now. And it's been the most insane year I've ever had when it comes to building a brand, because I would literally, the first 4 years or 4.5 years was like, what am I doing? To holy shit, we're traveling 5 different states in 1 month, shooting content, hanging out with you guys. Like I'm here at Raw right now. Like, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
You know, so it's been crazy. And even Andre can attest to that, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you probably haven't done a lot of traveling until you started meeting with like Raw and BeActive, right?
Yeah, I mean, the first time that I met you, Paul, was the first time a company's ever flown me out for anything. So that was the first one. Was at the Arnold's there.
Was it really?
Yeah, that was the first time a company ever flew me out, because really my social media didn't take off until COVID kind of, was a thing. And then, Bells of Steel flew me out, and then you kind of, discovered who I was, I guess, and brought me on. And then it was just one thing after another. And, I think it's been like, we've gone on how many trips since meeting each other, like, or places, I guess, like 5 or 6 now.
So many.
Damn.
So many. We literally went Sacramento, Texas. Arnold was like kind of a meetup, and then we're going to be in Olympia now. And then I think we did Sacramento twice. We did Sacramento twice.
But Florida as well for the Raw.
And Florida, you're right.
Hey, so you guys have had a busy few months.
Yeah, this all happened in this year.
Yeah.
Like I had zero traveling, zero money, expenses, nothing. And then from having 0 people on the team, except Matt, shout out Matt, by the way, to all this now is crazy. So I'm still learning. Like I call myself like the laziest CEO, because it's like not because I want to be lazy, but I just didn't know what to do.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And now I'm still figuring it out,
Oh yeah.
But I have the team now, which helps out too. And like they help out with the designing, like the ideas. And now everything I do, like it's cool because I have people I can bounce it off to, be like, hey, like, what do you guys think about this? Versus, oh, I'm just going to post this. Hopefully people like it. You know what I mean? I've changed my whole mentality when it comes to BeActive, how to run a brand, who to talk to, who to trust, who to put in place of different things. And it's been experience. And I'm sure you can attest to learning curves for like your first breakout years or months. You know what I mean? It is crazy. And then you still have to dial things in for the first year or 2, I would even say. But it's just been all insane. And Andre got to be a part of the best and worst of it.
All been great. It's all been really good. There's no.
I bet, dude. I bet.
Yeah.
No, I get it. The learning curve process is extremely difficult, and I think that it's probably some of the best years or times or months of your entire life.
Absolutely.
I really do, because the people that try to cross all the T's and dot all the I's before they jump in, they never end up jumping in, or they never get to the point where they're even able to jump in, because they never got the recognition, they never got the traction, they never got the funding. But the people that just jump in and they don't have an exact plan, they're kind of figuring it out as they go, those are usually the people that learn every detail that you need to learn to run an efficient business, to run an efficient shoot, to run an athlete team, because they're actually doing it. Like me personally, I'm the kind of guy that has to touch the stovetop to know that it's hot, right? So boom, I'm going to try this. Like our first athlete get together was, probably February of this year. And I brought 4 or 5 athletes out, and dude, I built an itinerary for it. We're going to do this shoot that day, this shoot that day. Then they actually arrive. And then you're dealing with the creative team that's on a whole other island over here. These athletes have little to no direction outside of what is on the actual itinerary. And it's just like, well, how do I piece all this together? How do I get this deliverable and that deliverable and this shoot? Nothing ever goes as planned.
No.
Ever. So it's always just, planning for that variable change. Anything can happen at any moment. And how are you going to adjust to it? So now going into shoots, I have a very good idea of exactly what we need to capture. I have a good idea of what does well for the brand and what our followers really enjoy viewing. So I will go in with like, okay, this shoot needs this theme. These are going to be, possible evergreen clips I could put into an evergreen video at the end of the year. But at the end of the day, I don't know exactly what this is going to look like until I'm on set. I see the time of day, I see the light, I see the exposure. Everybody's here. I understand the athlete's mood. I understand what the BCAM is feeling for the day. I understand what the DP is doing. Like, okay, now from here, we can actually set this up and move forward. You can't plan for every little detail. You can't, but you can have that confidence that, no matter what happens, we're good. Like I'm still gonna get out of this everything that we need to get out of this. If anything, it'll be better. Like we did the Alpine Texas shoot. We were in Texas for 3 or 4 days, me, Calvin, and Nate, and we had very strict deliverables. We had everything lined up, and then come last second, we hear, well, we don't want to put the athletes in this apparel. We don't want to do this. We don't want to set apart times of the day for like specific shoots. We'd rather you guys just be like fly on the wall. And we did. And I'll tell you what, dude, it was probably some of the best footage, some of the best photos we've ever created. And we also got to see a whole different side of the team. We were working with not only our endurance athletes, but a whole, broad range of people that we had never met, coming from all different walks of life, different ages. And when you set everything up, it has a way of like putting people's guards up. If you're putting them into a chair in front of the spotlight and you're like, say this, do that, hold this can, or we want the hat to show the logo. It's like, it makes them uncomfortable and you're never getting the reactions that you want out of people. But if you're doing things in a very organic way and you're quote unquote capturing footage as just a fly on the wall, bro, it's some of the best content you'll ever freaking make. So learning, I don't think you ever stop, but becoming more comfortable with the process and understanding that you are getting better and better through every shoot, it makes it all worth it. Because every shoot that you leave that you're like more confident, boom, that's what you got out of that shoot. Even if the shoot is shit, but you're more confident as a director and your team is more confident in their roles, you got something out of it. That's what you needed. Next shoot would be even better. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't think you ever stop learning at any point. I think it's good to be prepared, but it's also good to be somebody that just gets shit done.
Yeah, and Andre can attest, like how many of the shoots out of the 6 or 7 shoots we did, how many of it was like perfectly coordinated?
None of it.
Yeah.
But it all worked out.
They were all awesome, but it was like,
unreal.
Okay, what are we shooting? Oh, these are great. But then like the way we'd find out for any of like our shoots we would take, we'd be like, wow, Andre looks perfect in that. Or like, you know what? I wanted Andre in that, but Matt looks better on that, or Jake looks better on that. So I'm like, okay, cool. So then from there, it builds a whole creative idea on the spot. And then I have 2 videographers, Ken and Sanjay. Shout out Ascender. Yes. If they see this, I'm sorry that I forgot for a second.
Sorry.
But anyways, yeah, tell them I remember. Not kidding. But shout out Ascender. They're awesome, and they help with no matter what I do. If I have a vision on the spot, they'll be like, okay, we can make it happen, because we usually just go with a blank slate. And I will say this, I want to do my best to have somewhat less of a blank slate. I think that's like my goal for the future whenever I do my shoots, to have more of a structure. But every single time we've just had a blank slate, figure some stuff out. You're right. It has like the best content because it's like made on the spot. It's made organically with each athlete, and then it turns out dope every single time. And every single video you see on BeActive was on the spot ideas. And it is crazy to think that I just delegate it, I tell them my spiel or what I want in it, and then I let the creative directors do their thing, and it is insane.
I think it was an athlete introduction video that you did with Jake. He was just in like in a white studio.
And Andre and Matt too.
Dude, that I watched that when we had first spoke with Jake. You guys crushed it. It was so good. It was something I immediately like showed to the higher ups in the room. I was like, why aren't we doing shit like this? It reminded me very much of like a GQ style shoot. And I'm not sure if that's what you guys intended to do. And it wasn't the questions that they would follow at all. It was just like, he looked very comfortable. The different angles were amazing. And there's something about the bright contrast of the whites, and then like it just makes the apparel pop and makes your subject pop in a way where you're just like, you can't pay attention to anything else in the frame but the person who's speaking. I thought it was freaking genius.
And I didn't think of any of that. I literally was like, I want to interview Jake, Andre, and Matt. I want them to talk about their piece and how they got into bodybuilding and lifting. And what makes each of them special in their own way. And I told that to the creative director, which I'd like tell like as if I tell to you, and then you guys create it. And from that, all these awesome pieces that I would have never even thought of, I would have never thought of. Like, I thought when I was gonna do like the interview, be like just kind of talking, right? But he's like piecing in all these different things that's a part of his life, and I'm like, I felt like I was embedded in that dude's life in that minute and a half span, because he just told the whole story.
It sinks you in, man.
Yeah,
it sinks you in. You guys are really, really good at telling the athlete stories, and that's something that we can always freaking learn from, man. I think one of the big things with us was for the Love of Training series, and I referenced your videos with that you did of Jake multiple times when we were making those videos.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I think that's one of the cool things about this industry, dude, is like when you get to meet some of these people that are, the faces of these extremely influential brands, one of them being Gymshark. And you speak with the people that are actually the backbones of these brands. It's so easy to find so many similarities, even though they're doing two completely separate things than what we're doing. We're primarily just selling supplements. We also sell merch. We represent some of the greatest athletes in the world. That's great, but we're a product brand. We're raw nutrition. So when we collaborate with people like Gymshark, you wouldn't think that there's too much topic of discussion there because it's all apparel. Bro, you totally wrong. Like getting to know you better and getting to know Johnny and Jack over at Gymshark, the way that they think and the stresses that come up on a day-to-day basis and how they navigate these stresses and how they strategically plan out creative campaigns, overcoming obstacles, it's all things that are applicable to any sort of business that you're in. And it just shows like all of these people that got to this level in this industry, they share a very similar mindset. And now how we go about executing that is what makes us individual. I think that, your gym interrupting videos were probably one of the coolest things you could have ever freaking done.
It was the sole best idea I've ever done.
I haven't seen another brand do it.
It's because they're scared. Like, think about it.
Well, we can keep this or we don't have to keep it. It's up to you. We can ask Moog. But are these scripted at all?
Oh, absolutely.
Balls
no, you can keep. Yeah, like I said, I am so open on everything. They're all staged, and that's the cool thing that you're like questioning, like, are these staged or scripted or not? Shows how I want it to be, because a lot of people will be like, here's the three different feelings. Like, fuck you, this is staged. I hate you. Is this staged? If so, bro, you're being an asshole. You should wait a couple minutes. The other one's like, this is hella funny. Like, I'm gonna follow you. Those are the three moods you get. It's like a Sour Patch Kid. I call it the Sour Patch Kid method. First we make it mad, where like everything just kind of goes away, and that brings in the rage. It brings in the views, right? And then for the people that leave, like whatever, that's cool. But then people will stay in for the extra 6-7 seconds, and then they'll see it's an accident, a skit. Then they'll see the clothing. They're like, then they can decide whether it's dope or not. So the people that buy the stuff are the people that watch the full video. The people that fuel all the views are the people that watch it halfway and have no idea what they're watching.
Yeah.
But because of that, it puts it on the For You page on everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're all staged. And the funny thing was, funny story, I hit up one person that the last video, I think like 2.7 million views. And I hit him up at the random gym, and I was like, hey, excuse me, bro, would you like to be in a video like next week? Because like your physique is jacked, right? But he was actually on a like not during a set, but he was like kind of waiting, but he kind of had like a mood, and I was like, man, this is like actually how it would be in real life. Like, that'd have been funny if I was able to capture that, but I wasn't. So the one time I actually didn't interrupt, but I like tried to talk to somebody during like their workout, wasn't filmed, but everything else was filmed. So yeah, no, that's funny, because like now that becomes a persona, and like now it's come to the point to where, like I said, you still get the progression of people that are like, what the heck is this, or is the stage and whatnot. But then people that keep following like enjoy the content and then become like supporters and followers, which is actually insane. That those specific things, and the reason why people don't do it is like, no, I'm not saying, I guess I'll have to take back what they're scared. It's just like, it's not their MO, but it's also they just probably don't need to do it, because a lot of the brands you see now, they're already well off,
Sure.
Like, who is BeActive? Like, what is BeActive? Like, nobody has heard of that. But then when I use those videos and they get the views, and then the main product, like literally popped off BeActive, was oversized t-shirts. Like the big logo of the BeActive, it's bold, it shows there, so that when you watch the videos in your mind, if you see a big BeActive logo, you'll know what it is. And then all that tied in together helped create the brand, which is funny too as well. Those videos didn't make the brands like the stigma of it, but it helped the eyes go onto it. And then the athletes like Jake and Andre and Matt, they're the ones that build the brand. I'm just the one bringing the people to it.
Right.
And once I figured that out, I was like, I'm just the mediator. The athletes are the ones that get the sales. I'm just the one that brings the people to the eyes.
Yeah.
And then after that, it just keeps rinse, repeat every single time. I forward it to all of them. They post something, and then all that becomes relative to what BeActive is. And then that's what's been like making BeActive grow, which is the most unorthodox way. Like, I don't think there's any other brand that did it that way, but it's because they didn't have to. You know what I mean? I had to be different, because like you got to know it this way. Like this market's super saturated. You know what I mean? Like, how is somebody small that's never been heard of going to see some light of day when you have like Gymshark, Dark Sport, Brief Divinity, all these different brands, you know what I mean? So then using those skits to bring in the light and then the athletes kind of combining things together really made a recipe for a disaster, but at the same time it worked out in our benefit. So
absolutely, man, absolutely. I mean, getting to work with people like Andre is just it's a testament to the quality of products you have and the brand that you're creating. I think the awareness piece is huge, and that's where a lot of brands they don't quite nail it. I think that it's very important to always put out quality content. You're not going to put out anything that you're just like, oh, this is dog shit. But also hitting the mark and uploading consistently, whether that's 5 to 7 days a week, is so freaking important. You have no idea what's going to hit. People spend countless hours trying to understand the algorithm. We can do things that will, put us in better favor with the algorithm. I'm not going to argue that whatsoever. But it is also usually the least likely videos that I think will actually hit that explode. And that's where it's just like, okay, so at this point, I just need to throw darts at the wall, because either way, whether or not the video hits or not, it's just more recognition. Not only are you feeding your current audience, but if you're reaching, 3, 4, 5,000 other people that haven't seen the brand yet, and maybe one of them is interested enough to click a link in the bio,
that's a new one.
Boom, that's it. I did my job for the day. That's great. It doesn't have to be a masterpiece in order for us to hit posts. It doesn't.
Exactly.
I want every post to be great. Do I deny posts? I do. I deny posts 2 or 3 times a day, especially TikTok. Right now, we're trying to understand TikTok, but it's just like you can go so many different ways with TikTok, and because it's all unique to TikTok, it's like, okay, well, it's a lot more BTS content. It's a lot more, funny, cringy, cheesy content. And it's just like, how do we still, pet this platform and make sure that we're hitting the daily uploads while staying on brand? And that's the tough part. So that's where we're getting better right now. We're also newer to TikTok, and we don't have the largest following, but it is growing. I think that our TikTok team is dynamite. I mean, these people will take no after no after no and get a yes and just have the best attitude about it. And I think that, dude, athletes, creatives, coworkers, owners, whoever you work with, optimism and attitude is fucking everything in this industry. Absolutely everything. I think that these people that walk around and they have a stick up their ass, or they think that they're entitled to something, dude, like I said, we work with some of the greatest athletes in the world, and one of the most humble, down to earth guy that will just disarm you as soon as you meet him is Chris. He's literally the Kim Kardashian of bodybuilders. You talk to me about anybody else that has a guy's kind of engagement, you're talking about Kim Kardashian at that point. Same thing with Andre. It's like you referenced this earlier. It's like you would think that this guy's extremely intimidating. That this guy has got a chip on his shoulder or something. He has a world-class physique, walks around very confidently. You talk to him, he completely disarms you. It's like, those are the people that we want to build a brand around. Those are the people that we want to associate with, which is weird with Andre because, dude, our emails are flooded with athlete submissions. It is nuts. Like during the Olympics, we had tons of Olympic competitors reaching out to us trying to get on board. We have, probably on a slow day, 10 to 15 athletes, 500 to a million followers, like reaching out, wanting to work with us. But the people that we handpick are always the people that we just like to hang out with.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, can I just, for instance, like hop in a fucking podcast with you and just shoot the shit?
Yeah.
That's really important. Well, on top of that, are you humble? Are you honest? A lot of people with flawed characters in this industry. Are you easy to get along with? Are you somebody that's going to speak their mind, but you do it with the best intention for the rest of the team? You're not just sitting there to bitch and moan. It's like, okay, we have these model athletes, the Carlos Bellant, the Vaughns, the Chris, the Ian Valliers, the Andres. How do we find more people like that? So that's a very selective process. We hardly ever find them when they actually reach out to us. But I fucking recognize this guy from that pull-up video. I was like, shit, I want this one.
And it's always the ones that you least expect. You know what I mean? Like, it just randomly shows up. You either see email at the right time, or you see a post at the right time. Something goes viral, or you're just there talking to the person, like in person, to where you're like, okay, this person matches with what we want to see, and then just put them on. And then ever since then, it's like I can't see, like now it's like I can't see BeActive without the team I have now right now. You know what I mean? Because we've been able to tailor it for like this last like 6 months to where now I'm like starting to figure out like, okay, now I know who needs to be a part of the brand. And I know now that instead of me hitting up a lot of people, they're hitting me up now. So then I don't have to worry about that end. So then I can really kind of tune down to the people that actually give a shit and actually help the brand grow, you know what I mean? Like the Andres and stuff, which has been insane. Your guys though, I can't even compare. Your guys is on a whole nother level, but I can see as like somebody newer growing in this space, what you guys have to deal with on a smaller level. And then you being like the athlete manager doing all that stuff, I can't even imagine though having to. Do you guys like reply to every single one, or you just kind of just like, no, I'm just gonna reply to people that are.
You reply to the no, not just the people that are famous. So, for instance, if they know another one of our athletes, even whether it's a referral or not, if they just know one of our athletes, I'm gonna 100% have a conversation with them. And even if I know going to that conversation, I'm not going to sign this guy, he's just not at that level yet, him or her, I'm still going to give them the best piece of a direction I possibly can. Well, shoot your videos this way, color grade this way, ease off the texture. Mic'd up content always does good. I don't know why people don't take more advantage of mic'd up content. Like, it literally shows your audience, your personality, you showing your physique. You are a needle in a fucking haystack. There's some crazy physiques out there, and we have no idea what their voicing sounds like. And I think that's insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. So mic'd up content is a huge one. You know, people that have these expensive SDSLRs, but they don't shoot an S-Log. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, like, how do you color any of your videos? You just throw a Rec 709 over it, and it looks like you just, you know, you're on $1,000 camera. So it's like, yeah, I'll try to guide them in the right direction as much as possible, but at the same time, you have to limit it, right? Because it goes back to what I was talking about earlier in this conversation. It's the time aspect. I was in the hospital a couple months ago, dude. I just had it was the day or probably 2 days after I got back from Alpine, Texas. And I was just so stressed. And the shit that I was stressed about wasn't even like, it had nothing to do with owners directing me to do something. It had nothing to do with my current workflow, but it had everything to do with the pressure that I was putting on myself. And it got to the point where I was in the middle of a video shoot and I just started to like hyperventilate. And I remember 4 or 5 hours earlier, I told Dan, my boss, I was like, dude, my chest feels super heavy. I don't know what's going on. Like, I am a little bit anxious, but I'm kind of always anxious. Like, that's just how I live my life. It's very high stress, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to shake that, but I can hardly breathe. So I'm upstairs. I'm doing a flavor shot video for it was one of our new essential flavors, and I told Rob, one of our creators, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna step out for a second, and I get right outside the corner of the room, and I just collapse, like all my camera gear fucking rolling down sidewalk. And I get to the point where like every breath I take in, you just hear a tiny wheeze, and like that's it. And I'm like, okay, I'm completely nonverbal at this point. So I'm like, I got to get downstairs, let Dan know I'm going to the fucking hospital. So I'm like going downstairs, and I started to like, everything just starts to get really fucking dim. It was like the scariest moment of my entire life, honest to God. And I'm running out to the car at this point. Alyssa jumps in. She's driving me to the hospital. I'm like clenching onto the seat so hard because I can barely even get a fucking breath in. And we get to the hospital. I'm finally starting to slow down a little bit. And they put me on the EKG or whatever. And I start to just freak out again to the point where I can't even talk because I can't breathe. So it was like that entire night was just the longest night of my life. And the doctors were just like, you are like the most stressed out fucking human you've ever met. Like, blood pressure was super, super freaking high. My breathing was totally abnormal. They chopped it up. It was just like a really, really horrible panic attack. And I was just like, well, where does this stem from? They're like, oh, it's always work. And I'm like, okay, well, I've had way more stressful days at work than this day. And I talked to Alyssa about it the next day, and I'm just like, well, what am I doing outside of what I need to do that is causing all of this? And it's like, well, I was responding to every athlete message. I was working until 2 or 3 in the morning. I was, you know, editing way more photos than I needed to. If we needed X amount of photos for a shoot to hit these deliverables, well, I'll still edit the whole batch and just throw them in the drive. And it's cool. I like to go above and beyond when I can. But when you're running off of no sleep and then you're stressed out about everything else you have going on because you're doing all these extra additives and shit, it's just like, I'm not working in an efficient way at all. Now it's like starting to take a toll on my health. So I started to be very selective with like how I delegate and where I put my time. So really utilizing your team and delegating more. I'm taking master classes right now by Martin Scorsese and Ron Howard, and one of them, Martin Scorsese especially, is just talking about like just how powerful delegation is and really like trusting and utilizing your team. And I didn't realize how much more respect I would have for my team until I started to delegate, even like, important tasks, like things I wanted to have my hands in the pot for. And once they brought back that deliverable, I'm like,
Which is
wait,
great.
I didn't have to do shit.
No.
I wrote an email. That's it. Rob and Nate, dude, like I'll ask these guys to edit, 30, 45-second video, heavy edits. Like one of them, we're editing the GTA themes Golden Scoop Savage giveaway video. And Nate, I was like, dude, we don't even have to send over the approval to GNC until like the week before November 1st. Like, don't worry about it right now. Like the day after, he sends over what we've shot so far, completely edited, and it looks beautiful. He sent it over to our CMO and Dan, and I was just like, you did this in like 24 hours. It's fucking insane. Like, I don't even have to say shit. So it's like, it makes you build a way better relationship with your team when you can really rely on these people, delegate more, and watch them execute. It also gives them a sense of ownership over a task, and the pride that comes with that ownership is amazing. So it's like beneficial for everybody. And in return, I have a much less stressful life. So it's like, these things are really important to me right now. And I can't imagine right now at your point in your career, because you guys are on fire right now, what your stress levels are like. It's got to be nuts between traveling, managing an athlete team, managing your own staff. I mean, you have a lot on your plate. Like, how are you managing all this?
Well, the hard part is, well, thankfully it's not crazy big. Like if I do anything like this, I'd probably lose my shit, but like the hard part is like having somebody with the same amount of passion and drive to trust on these specific like delegations and tasks. So as a excuse me, as a brand grows, like I want to see everything done perfect to the T. So I'm always doing everything. Like, when it comes to BeActive, like everything is me right now. You know what I mean? But then once I got like one of my employees, and I was like, for example, I just started delegating like order packing and then like going lives on the BeActive page. You know what I mean? Like I don't trust anybody with anything, but
Sure.
then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna teach this person, see how he does. And now he does it super well, goes lives for me, packages all the orders, where now like I can actually focus on things that can make me more money, get more designs out, be able to travel more without having to worry about me having to come back and package everything. So now like me delegating all that stuff takes less stress. And yes, you spend money to make money. That's kind of like how everything goes. And it makes it to where BeActive is actually doing a lot better because it's more smooth. I get to focus on the task at hand that makes more sense to, rather than kind of the grunt work. You know what I mean? And this is the first, like I said, yes, the first year doing this to where I got to separate from the grunt work to where I can actually feel like a CEO and kind of focus on things. But I won't take back any of like the challenges I had to do to get to where I'm at, because there were so many different things. You know what I mean? So being able to apply myself to what I've learned and then giving it to the other people to do that they can do it, so I don't have to worry about it, has been amazing. You know what I mean? But I will never take away the fact that yes, I did that. So then that way I know, like, if I'm giving it to somebody and they're like either confused about it or they don't want to do it, I just know that I did it first, so that I can give it to them. So then when I tell them like, hey, you do these things this way, I had to do it too, rather than me just telling somebody and then be like, do you know how to do this? Like I did this, So we're on a smaller level scale, and but it has been so insane this last year. It's been awesome, and I can already tell that next year is going to be more crazy. But we're spinning our wheels. We could be doing better. And there's things like as an owner I should be focusing on. You know what I mean? But I just don't. So I think that would attest to me having to delegate more and maybe lean more on the team versus having to really put it on myself. Because I will say this. I do procrastinate, and that's one thing I'm like having a problem with right now. Like procrastinating on some specific things that shouldn't be procrastinated on, and then working on things that I can like wait the next couple weeks. You know what I mean? So once I dial that down and like kind of get that figured out, it'll be a lot better for the brand itself, for my mental and for my personal. You know what I mean? Because I don't even see my fiance sometimes for like a week straight. I feel super bad. Shout out Megan, but I love you, I promise. No, but it's cool to be able to do what I do. You know what I mean? And then now that like I get to hang out with my friend and do all these different things because I am starting to delegate more.
Yeah.
And I am starting to do the more important things more. Like things are being way more smooth, and it feels like I'm doing less. Like it feels like I'm doing less for more of a turnout. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm not stressed as much. I'm traveling more. We're making more. And I'm leaning on a couple people that can do the stuff that I will never really have to worry about again, which is cool.
It's working efficiently, man. Efficiency is key. I can't even imagine how important that is to not only just be aware of where your time is going, but how to absolutely maximize it when you have a family involved now. So,
Yeah.
Andre, can you tell us a little bit about how you juggle not being an athlete between an apparel brand, a supplement brand, a competitor? You also have your own hobbies. I see, obviously, you like music. We've talked about playing guitar. Still got to play guitar, but you also have a family. So, I mean, how are you juggling all of this?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a handful when you throw a baby into it all. You know, I've had to become a lot more flexible within my routine because as most bodybuilders, we are very regimented, like same thing, same times every day, you know, and I still am very, you know, spot on with those things. But, you know, with the baby, I've had to change that daily routine to be able to, be a father and want to be involved in every aspect of her life, see her grow, and it's just so much fun being a dad. But also having to take care of my goals, right? Because at the end of the day, you know, being a bodybuilder is almost a job for me now. Even though I'm you know, not a pro bodybuilder, I'm not getting paid for bodybuilding because of the social media side of it. Um, it's really a job, which I love. Like, I'm not saying it's a job, like it's one of those things that, you know, you wish it, and like as myself, I wish it was a dream to come true type of thing. But yeah, so balancing all of that with being a father and social media and then brands and um yeah, it comes down to scheduling a lot of my stuff. So like, let's say now that I'm with Raw, BeActive, a bunch of other actually little things here and there. I almost have to note down, okay, I kind of post for this company or this company or this company, and otherwise, there's so much going on that you can easily get sidetracked, right? And I'm some like you guys said it yourself, like you're invested in that goal, you're 100% in. That's how I am with my fitness and my social media. So when the baby came in and being a father, it was hard for me at first to figure out how am I going to do this. But you know, luckily there's 24 hours in a day. Just came getting up earlier, cutting out the things that aren't necessary. You know, like if I'm getting up earlier, I should probably go to bed earlier. So now there's no time for me to sit down and watch TV at night. I go to bed. I take care of what's most important, and I think anybody could do that. It's just being or willing to cut out the crap that you don't need in life. Make sure that the most important things in life do get done, so that I can make a living doing what I love to do. See my daughter grow up and be there for her, and also be there for my wife too, right? Like that's another whole part of it, that when you become a parent, you got for that you still have each other and you have to make time for each other as well, because the baby is going to take up a lot of your time. And sometimes when you're doing that with the baby, you can almost get distracted from, you know, being a couple at the same time. So all those,
and that's I imagine, I mean, that's got to be a lesson that every married couple, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, has to learn when they bring a kid into the picture, is that the health of my relationship with my kid is very much dependent on the health of this relationship, because everything always ends up streaming downstream. So having that very healthy marriage, having the sleep that you need in order to be in your best mood every single day, it comes down to the sacrifices that we have to make, the unnecessary, the cutting the fat, if you will, to make sure that we can tailor to the things that do matter to us.
Definitely. And it's very much factual. If you want to be successful within your life and your goals, whatever that is, you know, obviously not everybody's goal is to be you know, a bodybuilder, you know, doing what we're doing. But if you want to be the best at anything, I think you have to be able to find the balance, cut out the crap, you know.
I think that balance like directly ties into the the ability to not only cut out the fat, but it's to create that priority list. And you know,
Yeah.
whether you're not, you schedule it out. What is your mind focused on like 24 hours of the day? So for me, like my relationship has to come first, more than anything, especially like given the fact that Alyssa and I work together. The
Sure.
health of this relationship is very it can affect every single aspect of my life. It can affect my sleep quality, it can affect my training regimen, it can affect quite honestly the food that I eat. So big one. The relationship with my coworkers, like so much. So making sure that that's taken care of is paramount, I would say, to anything else that I have to focus on. And when I nourish that and I take care of that, every other aspect of my life feels the blessing of that, the health of that relationship. And it goes both ways, you know?
Sure. Yeah, it totally does. Yeah.
I think what's pretty crazy, you touched on it a little bit earlier, but it's like cutting out the TV at night because you have to wake up earlier. How weird is it? And this is something that's, dude, everybody that watches Eric Thomas or, you know, any sort of motivational speaker, it's like, well, these are the habits that I have. I don't do this. I read. I don't do that. I do this. I don't do this. I exercise. And it's just like, people think that if they cut out all of these things immediately, they will then have the desired outcome that the guy that is speaking to them has. And it's just like, whether that's money, that's success, that's happiness, that's the girl that you want, the car that you want, however you measure success. People think that if they cut out these things or start to do these things, that's going to be the result. But what ends up always happening is the people that really get it, they get it. They get the lifestyle, they get the partnership, they get the sponsor, they get the family, and they find out that there's actually no time for this other shit. So it's not that I had to cut it out to get all of this shit. It's I got all of this shit, and now this stuff doesn't fit. I noticed that too. I started to watch the fucking. Have you guys watched the Menendez documentary on Netflix? Really, really good.
Good. Huh?
So like anytime that I'm seeing something that is just like it pops out to me, I love like true crime shit. I'll delve into it and I'll take a little step back from editing at night, which I usually edit 7 days a week at night. But every time I take a step back, I'll realize, well, okay, shit, I'm like still editing, but now I'm getting less sleep, so my workouts are shittier. I'm a little bit foggier during the work week. I'm not like as clear when I'm writing out goals, or even some of the goals that I write out for my team. They're not as concise as they would be if I got a little bit extra sleep. What was the only factor that changed here? It was just like, well, I watched the fucking documentary. It's so crazy that it's just like, well, that is what is causing this issue. So now it doesn't fit into my life anymore. I can't make it fit. And I think so many people talk about burnout and wanting to find balance. And their thing is, well, you have to find the things that bring you joy. And I think that that's what is one of the most important things that we can find out as men, women. What is like the number one thing that brings us joy? I think that entrepreneurs, I think that's just kind of in you guys. Like I don't think I could ever be an entrepreneur. It doesn't appeal to me having that amount of responsibility and that many moving parts under me. I love being a leader. I've been in leadership in every single role that I've worked at since I was 17 years old, from fucking retail to EMS to where I am now. I love it, but on a massive scale, like what you guys are doing, couldn't handle it. But the creative process, I can work on that 24 hours a day and not get burnt out. How do I know this? Well, down since I was fucking 15. I never stopped making videos. Like there wasn't a period of my life where I just went completely cold turkey and stopped making content. I've always done it. Now I just I consider my sense of joy to be making videos. So I really delve into that. So if you can do the things that you love and make that your job, it also gives you money. I don't believe in fucking burnout. I don't. I think that burnout is one of those things that will separate you from what your fullest potential is. And I don't think that anybody can reach their fullest potential if you don't fucking love what you do.
Yeah, I think if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, that's what will bring a burnout. You know what I mean? If you do something thinking that it's what you want to do, but it's not your passion, or you're not like aligned with the specific goals that you have. Like if I was doing something in BeActive and I didn't like it, but I was constantly doing it every single day, it would attest to a burnout. But everything I
100%.
do as the owner, I love doing. You know what I mean? So like, and with you guys, I don't know about you guys, but like anything I like doing, even as an owner, having things under me, like I do my best to even input a fraction of joy, things I like to do, whether it be like if I game with my friend for an hour, like even if it may make me have and that's why I have a different take. Like even if it takes like 1 hour of sleep less to hang out with my friends for one more hour to bring and maximize maybe a little bit of joy from a busy day, crazy work schedule, I'll do that. And that's a little bit different than what you guys do. But at the same time, if I can fit it in there, I'll do it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm not saying I'll do it all the time, but if it makes it to where that next week reset is like, okay, well, you know what, I did that. Everything's good. I look forward to doing something, hang out with my fiance for the time or hang out with my friend, and I can reset for a better work week, then I'll do that. But I know that doesn't work for everybody. But I'm still trying to figure out the balance, like you guys say.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But for burnout, like I feel like the first 4.5, 5 years with BeActive was the one that was almost making me burn out because I was just spinning my wheels. And now that we're delegating and removing and doing things, I feel less burned out on a busier scale, which I don't know if that makes any sense or not. But because now it's like I'm excited where BeActive's going, to where every single thing is exciting to do versus like, oh, it's just another day making one sale. You know what I mean? Now it's just like, I'm going to Olympia. I'm meeting with Andre, Jake, and Matt, and we're going to make some content for this new drop that comes in every quarter. We're doing a new drop. Like that shit excites me. You know what I mean? So I'm never burnt out on any of that stuff.
No.
So that's just my hot take on it. But I know that the bigger BeActive gets, maybe some things I'll lose because I'll be gaining more things that'll help benefit the brand.
Yeah. I see. Like, do you guys use Google Calendar at all?
I use Google Calendar, yeah.
Okay, so like you can check your other like colleagues' work schedules whenever you're putting schedules onto their plate. And I didn't even realize you can do this until I tried to like schedule a call with Dom, and it was like earlier on in my
You can see their stuff?
Yeah, you can see
I
it.
didn't know that.
Dude, when I tell you what, I mean, the amount of different colors, it looks like an RGB screen, like so many different time slots. And then I'm like,
Here we go.
okay, how does that work? How do you juggle all that? And then we got Simon, our new CMO, a couple months ago.
Mhm.
Same thing, booking a meeting with him, and it's like within a week, this guy's calendar just from start to finish.
Covered.
And when you say like, it's not just there to display to make you look like you're fucking busy. Like I never see this guy not on his phone. He's always working. So it's like those 5 or 6 minutes that you'll get with him in the middle of the day, you have to make them count. They have to be very, very impactful. And I think that's where, and this transcends to every aspect of business, is being very efficient, very selective, and very intentional with your time and the things that you say. That's how the wheels stop spinning and you gain a little bit of traction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you decided, okay, the video, and I don't know if you did this intentionally, but like this video, this format of video has hook, line, and sinker. So it's like, okay, I'm tapping this guy on the shoulder, pissing him off. Okay, well, the audience now wants to see their reaction. Well, now we have the fluff in the middle. Okay, now we're getting his reaction. Well, what is the ultimate end goal here? What is the sinker? Well, the sinker is it ties it into his brand marketing strategy.
Nope.
It's genius. So even if the majority of the followers are just the viewers are just there to see the hook and the line, because they just want to see, okay, what is the reaction to this guy tapping this random guy on the fucking shoulder and pissing him off in the middle of a workout? Boom, you just got your watch time to 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Boom, now you're on the fucking For You page.
Yep.
Now you have a greater chance to get the people that will watch it all the way to sinker and tie it into your brand. And the small percentage of people that actually get all the way to sinker will now convert to buyers. So it's like you follow that strategy. That strategy proved to be effective. Now you're not facing so much of the burnout because you're actually seeing a little bit of the reward, the return on your investment. And you're also continuing to do what you love doing. Like you never stopped. I'm sure you've never stopped loving what you were doing for the past 4 or 5 years. Probably frustrating at times.
Yeah.
You probably got very fucking discouraged in some tough days, some tough months. But now it's all starting to fucking pay off. So now it's like, okay, new wave of inspiration, new wave of love for what I'm doing, and a new wave of pride that you have for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You really look at it. You built something, and I think that's really cool about our brand slogan, just being from the ground up. You started something, you made something that didn't fucking exist. You built out an entire team. You got a team of people such as Andre to believe in your brand. And the trust is really just that gap from I order this to it arrived at my door. Well, how is it displayed? Well, I mean, you guys' boxes are beautiful. You open it up, unzip the bag, pull it out, boom. First thing you feel, materials, incredible. Okay. Branding is very, very intentional, very obvious, but it's not over the top. I'm not talking shit on any brands, but I don't like the too much shit going on types of brands. So we all know them. You guys cross the T's and dotted the I's there. So now it's starting to get the word's getting out like, okay, well, got some good athletes that believe in my shit. I got the shit to back it up. Everybody's starting to know, well, BeActive was actually putting out some good shit. Now it grows. Now you start to partner with other people.
Yeah.
Now you start to build connections. Now you're developing connections with people all over the United States, building those partnerships. I mean, you look at Dom when we were in New York for the Gymshark Lift event. He was with the guys from Cadence. He was with I don't even know if I could say it, but he's with another giant fucking brand. But everybody knows it here. Trust me. We'll talk about it after the pod. But it's just like, how do you have time to do all of this? And it's just like he's displaying how important it is to make connections. And I think as a CEO, that's extremely fucking important. Because it's not just brand awareness.
Yeah.
It's shaking the hands of the right fucking people
Exactly.
and getting their respect. I mean, ultimately, 5-6 years from now, God knows where this could be because you shook the right guy's hand. You know, you're working effectively. You're working efficiently.
The crazy thing is too, it's like spinning my wheels for the first 5 years and then being where it is this last year. It's like, I know that my brand will never go back to those first 5 years, but I appreciate how tough that was. I gotta give a shout out to my buddy Alex here. Towards the very beginning of the brand, you were talking about the depressive state, but every brand, like there's like the unicorns that just like pop off and blow up. And Gymshark was a unicorn, you know what I mean? Like hearing Ben's story from like how he was a pizza guy and then makes $750,000 the first year and then blow it up to this multi-billion-dollar brand is crazy. You know what I mean? For me, it's like I didn't have that traction. You know what I mean? Alex is one of somebody that believed in the brand. He knew me for maybe a month and invested $30,000 into the company. Just so here, I believe in the brand. Here's 30 grand. And that was the first time I ever actually had my custom stuff. And then custom stuff from that took about 1.5 years. I don't know what happened. It was my first time ever doing custom stuff. And that almost fucked me because
Really?
I had to wait 1.5 years for clothing. I still had rent to pay. I had all this stuff. How do you pay for all that stuff? And that's why I had to do screen printing on the side. So I was like screen printing other people's clothes.
No shit.
Yeah, dude, I was screen printing like construction companies' clothes. I was screen printing other people just to make ends meet while paying like $3,000-4,000 a month on rent until this clothing got here. And when the clothing got here, shit was messed up. Things weren't right. The fit wasn't correct. I had to get things reset. I actually had to get money back from all this stuff. And it was actually freaking nuts. It was chaos. And the thing that saved me was a fucking interruption video one time with the shorts and the TikTok shop. And the crazy thing is, none of that would have went into play if each of these specific things didn't happen when it needed to happen. You know what I mean? If I hadn't have got that investment then to be able to make this stuff now, to sell it 2 years later, can you imagine making something or getting an investment for something and then the investor doesn't see any return of investment until 2 years later?
Yeah, there's some
that takes some belief.
Yeah.
That takes some fucking belief.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when that happened, it was like it went just insane. So like if you were to look at BeActive 3 years ago or 2 years ago, actually, you'd be like, what is this shit? Like what, like even like to the quality and stuff, because now it's just, I have such a standard when it comes to everything. And people always ask me like, hey, would you change things? It's like, I guess I would change some things, but I wouldn't change the experiences because that shit was like, it was tough dealing with like managing a coffee shop, trying to do these events that barely had any return on investment, trying to figure out how to get the brand out. So figuring out that an interruption video with the TikTok shop and then doing that was the thing that would put me where I'm at now. Is it just made, that was not in my bingo list, bro. There was none of that shit made sense, but it did and it worked. And I'm not saying that it could work for anybody and everybody, but the method I do where it's like you hook, line, and sinker, you find the fluff, and then you find the thing that markets your brand with what you're doing. Anybody can do that, and you don't have to do rage bait. Just what's going to give somebody that 3 seconds. And I tell everybody this is like, if I'm not interested in 3 seconds, in a 3 seconds in a video, it's not going to do well. So those first 3 seconds have to have that hook to where people watch another 3 seconds. And once you hit that 7-second mark, then pretty much 50% of the people will watch it, and then it's going to get your views. You know what I mean? So you have to have that little piece, and you can do it in any different way. Like with Andre, you know what Andre's 3 seconds is? His fucking back. You go in there, boom. Your first 3 seconds, you're like, God dang, who is this Titan? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is this guy even, what is this? He's a bear, you know? And then boom, you're in it for 3 seconds, and now you watch the whole thing, and then it's done. And then with you, cinematography and doing all these things, you storytell, the cinematic views. Vaughn is really good at that too as well when he does his stuff, and Alex showed me some of it. It's like the color's insane. The way he captures what he does, he doesn't even have to say anything, and it looks good.
Yeah.
I'm hooked in for 3 seconds. I'm gonna watch. I'm invested.
Right.
You know, if you can get any viewer invested in anything, then what happens is they're gonna buy it if they like the brand. You know what I mean? So then people, I always tell people this too as well. It's like, if you have great product and then shitty creativity and a shitty creator, like a creative director, it's not gonna go anywhere.
No.
If you have a good creative director, a great creative director, and you have shitty product, you actually might do better than the person that has good stuff.
100%.
But imagine having a great creative director and then good products to back it up. Then that's when shit blows up. And that's why I see Raw, stuff like that. Like you, and then you have the good products that match things together. That's why you guys are so successful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Imagine having you, right? And then you guys blow up and do something crazy, and then your stuff is shit. Then now you have bad credibility, and then your shit tanks. But because you were able to keep that good credibility with what you're doing, everything goes well. And that's what we started doing, and with Sanjay and Ken and stuff, really pushing out the IG version, and me doing all the TikTok stuff with the hook line sinkers to bring all of their creative content to light, blows everything up. And it's like, I can't tell people enough. Like that's what you should do. Find something that catch somebody's eye for 3 seconds, and then go from there. And I always tell people too, if you have a brand, if you have anything that you want to do to blow your brand up in such an easy, cheap, effective way, is TikTok. I kid you not. IG is out for years, right? And then I do TikTok for 3 months, and here I am now. You know what I mean? So it's like the growth is so exponential. And I even told Andre too. Andre has so many followers on TikTok, and then the last post I saw when I saw him was like 6 months ago. And I'm like, bro, like, what are you doing? So then ever since then, he's been on TikTok, millions of views, more stuff pops up, because then TikTok connects to Instagram, Instagram connects to YouTube, and all that stuff happens. And somebody told me, I feel so bad, I don't remember who told me this, but they're like, if you post one thing on one social media and it hits, and then you post on the other two and it doesn't hit, still keep doing all of those, because now you have 3 avenues, 4 avenues, 5 avenues, rather than just one you're really focusing on. And I was always focusing on Instagram, because when you see people on Instagram, you're like, ooh, that's so legit. TikTok's what's a dancing company, you know?
Right.
I fuck that. I did TikTok hardcore, which helped me boost all the other ones. And I started doing YouTube, and then YouTube started popping off. And then now with both of those, and with my athletes, it made the IG pop off more without even me having to try.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So creative directing is insane. Kudos to you for all that, because that is something I will pay endless amounts of money to do, because I don't have that creative strategy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have the means to get the views, but how do I keep them together? You know what I mean? And that's with different creatives, with the athletes, being able to, like I said, hook, line, and sinker, all those guys in there, and then having the people like you and the creative directors really tell the story of the brand, and you tell the story very well. So
thank you, bro. Thank you. I think that being a CEO, it's very much like you are the hand of the chessboard, and you're just
Literally.
putting all the right players into the right places. And really, it comes down to your team's weaknesses and strengths, and being very aware of that.
Yep.
Where does this person need to be? Where does that person need to be? Okay. Well, how do they move? Well, they move this way. That guy moves this way. Do they complement one another? Should we put them side by side? Does it make the most amount of sense to have these two work closely or parallel to one another, but have a little bit of distance? And that's something where it's just like, I don't naturally have that gift. I've gotten a lot better at delegating. I've gotten a lot better at inspiring the team and building the team. The creative blog, obviously, this shit just comes to me like naturally, and I think that's just like a God-given gift. But there's like a whole nother side of this business that isn't really talked about, and that is placing the right people in the right place. And that's something where you'll either be a really shitty CEO if you make the wrong decisions, or you'll be a fucking legend. And whether you're a legend like right off the bat, and it's just like, again, like a God-given gift to you, and it's something that just came natural to you, or through trial and error, you've learned the strengths and weaknesses of your team, and now you move more strategically. That is a level of stress that I feel like nobody can really relate to but other CEOs. You have to know what players go in what place. I want to like continue on this, and I really want to get into fucking music with Andre. I do have to piss. Can we take a brief intermission really quick?
Yes.
Okay.
I wasn't
Actually,
gonna say it, but I definitely needed to.
I actually have to get going. I have a client in the back. So
Ooh.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up now then.
Okay, yeah.
Music
I mean, you
next
guys
time,
can keep
then.
going. You guys can keep going if you want, but I have a client in like literally like 2 minutes in the gym here. So
What time is it? Oh shit! It's already.
Oh my
Damn. We've
Yeah,
been cooking.
it's all good.
All right.
but 3 people with ADHD in one room. This is what happens.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck. Well, anyways, guys, thank you so much for your time today. It was such a pleasure having you guys. I mean, BeActive is a fucking amazing brand. Sharing an athlete with you guys is incredible, and I think that you're definitely one of the more influential, positive, and very just like powerful people I've met in this industry. And
Thank
it's
you.
so fucking cool to watch your story unfold. And I'm so happy that we get to collaborate now and have further collaborations in the future. I'm very fucking excited about it. Andre, you're an absolute rock star, bro. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, and I can't wait to see both you guys in Vegas next week. And
Neat.
Next week.
Wait, holy shit. That's crazy.
yeah, Vegas is
Doesn't
next
stop,
week.
bro.
Literally next week.
Team No Sleep.
Yep.
I know. It's gonna be wild.
It's gonna be fun. All right, boys. Until next
Okay.
time. Good having
See you
you
next
guys.
week. Thanks for
See ya.
having me on.